We're going to do a little fireside chat here. I'm very happy to welcome to the stage Hannes Sjöblad. Woo! Wonderful.
Thanks, my friend. Thank you.
You are very welcome.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we're going to be sitting, but sitting is the new smoking, you know, Tommy, so...
Yeah, it's supposed to stand up, I believe.
Right?
Well, I'm going to sit down.
We sit too much.
Yeah. Okay.
Wonderful to be here, guys. Yeah.
Wonderful to have you here. Hannes, you are very special. You have been at the Singularity University. You are a serial entrepreneur, and we both have been thinking both about AI and longevity for, I think it's more than 15 years now. So you have a lot of insight. So I just wanted to sort of put you on stage here and ask you sort of in general, what do you think is going to happen within the AI space here connected to longevity?
Right. This, thanks Linus, thanks for the warm intro. Yes, I've spent a fair amount of time here at Epicenter, where my job is to try to map out the future and help our friends in the community here, and you guys, of course, to just get a grip on what's going on and what's going to happen next. And so we've learned a lot here today, but just zooming out and taking the big picture for a couple of minutes here, what I think is that we see this marvelous acceleration. We see that if you look at the investments in AI, it's enormous. And we see right now also that what are the big AI companies doing? It's also a race now for energy resources. We're having this powerful debate about, okay, we just need to put up more nuclear plants because we need to power all these processors. So there's something which is quite fundamental, which is happening to society right now. And the dimension, and I mean, this has been said on this stage here 10,000 times, AI development is exponential, right? Doubling of processors, Moore's law, all that part. Just one key concept takeaway of the exponential thing, and that is, when a development is exponential, it means that the next step is as big as all the previous steps together. So this is like what we must conceptualize. We've seen all these advances. We've seen the acceleration in the last couple of years with the big language models. We can expect the same amount of change that has happened in decades to happen in the coming 1 or 2 years. And this is sometimes hard to grasp, I think, but we must push ourselves to see that things will happen extraordinarily fast in the coming years.
Yeah. I think that.
What do you think?
No, that's a super important point. You know, we are evolved creatures who are having trouble to sort of thinking in these exponential terms, and this is, of course, not new. But I think we really need to remind ourselves that this is the case. You know, yeah, in like maybe the coming 5 to 10 years, we'll see sort of a decade or 100 years of progress, and it's, you know, it's hard to sort of take it in, you know, to really feel it. But let's talk about longevity. What do you see for the main applications? What's going to happen in terms of longevity here? That's right.
So I am extremely optimistic, frankly, because of the stuff we hear here today and the stuff we read about technological progress enabling us to address the longevity challenge. And, you know, just to run down the list of things like the ability to process these enormous amounts of data, right? Not possible for 100 scientist brains, but now possible for a single laptop or smartphone to process these enormous amounts of data that must unlock so many insights. Secondly, speaking of unlocking, right? Biology, this messy organic system that supports us as living beings, it's still in the process of being understood. And here I think that these big AI models, just like they've done with language, can be applied to decode our biochemical processes in much, much greater detail and understanding. So that also makes me tremendously hopeful. And what we've seen, I think, so far, and there's some good old examples here of protein folding, etc. We've heard them many times, but there are some awesome things in the pipeline in this space. Then taking it down to the individual level, the ability to go to the personalized medicine where we have not like cohorts of patients, but truly an n equals 1 type studies, right? The complete digital twin of your entire system, Linus. We build a virtual model of you, all your chemical processes, all your biometric data live fed into it, and then we give you a theoretical therapy, and we see what happens. These models are also now being applied. So yes, it's the general abstraction of understanding biology, all the data processing, but these now convene on our own individual bodies in pretty awesome ways. And which is also being unlocked because, yes, the computers are being more powerful, but it's also getting so much cheaper in the same process.
Yeah, this is awesome. I mean, the simulation part, the digital twin thing, it's really cool. And I mean, yeah, we got to start somewhere, so like from the cell upward, and when we can do sort of a whole person and the individual person, that's sort of even harder. But when we can do that, we can test drugs sort of in silico and see what will happen. So that's going to be an amazing thing.
I think the most challenging part will be the brain. This is still the part of the body that we understand the least well. And we're decently strong to manage the aging, understanding the aging process of the body. But the aging of the brain, this is like the big elephant that we have yet to crack, in my personal opinion, from having read and participated in a lot of these events.
You know, there are some pretty extreme ideas out there of how we could sort of rejuvenate the brain. That's going to be I'm not going to say anymore. You're going to have to come back for our next event for that one. But it's actually there's
brain hacking for longevity. Amen.
Yeah. All right. Now I want to talk about regulation. So, what part does regulation play in this landscape? And is there something we could do here in Sweden to sort of accelerate this using regulation?
So I think there are smarter people in the room than me who understands regulation on AI better. And but like a few things that I have been thinking about that I have encountered in my work as a health tech entrepreneur. I ran a health tech company for some years, working with smart chip implants, logging biometric data from the inside. And the whole clinical trial process is way too cumbersome and complicated, especially for small companies with limited resources. This is a huge hurdle for innovation. So I think we need to work on improving the clinical trial system or regime, so to say. That's a regulatory thing where Sweden can be innovative. I mean, this is something we control. There are some EU components, but there are definitely some national elements to doing clinical trials here that I think could accelerate the things we are able to do in this country, especially like AI-powered. Now we have just software-based powered solutions that we can run through clinical trials. So they are a lot simpler to understand and map out. You can have every letter. It's not like injecting a drug into 100 people and figure out what's going to happen. So this is one important thing. I also think as a sort of open innovation individual, I think we need to, what regulators should do in relation to AI and health is to make sure that the models are open and transparent, because this is a challenge if that becomes proprietary and it's not being open to more players. And here the government has a role to play. Generally, I think the less regulation, the easier for innovators, right? So one of my gurus and where I started my professional career was with Jan Stenbeck and in Kinnevik. And Stenbeck, of course, famously said that technology beats politics when he the Swedish government said, oh no, you cannot broadcast TV in Sweden. Okay, fine, then we'll broadcast from England instead, but in Swedish. And so then he was able to bring down that monopoly. And I think there's something to it. Final thing, sorry for my long-winded answers, is of course investment. Look around, right? What the Americans, the Chinese, they're investing billions and billions now, private money, in AI companies, AI solutions. And over here, No, we're still trying to explain to our public decision makers what is the benefit. Yeah, we have some great initiatives. We have AI Sweden, a couple of hundred people doing something over there. I think we need a different mobilization of resources.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what the Danish company Novo Nordisk is doing, we just heard this morning from NVIDIA, they invested, I don't know how many billions of dollars, really, in this huge cluster that they're going to be used for the sort of whole ecosystem down in Denmark. So, I mean, we're going to left behind if we're not doing something similar here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, super important. All right, do you have any final thoughts? Actually, could you say a few more words about investment when it comes to longevity?
General investment in longevity. We need more.
We need more.
Yeah, we need more. If there was one, imagine if there was one disease that affected every human on the planet, wouldn't that be a priority to solve? You guys know all this, you've heard it so many times before, but for me it's still mind-blowing a little bit that we prioritize so many other things when there is such a universal value to be gained in slowing down aging. So let's just make people more aware.
This gets me every time. We have this discussion at. I was recently in Georgia, the country of Georgia, and I met all these sort of crypto people, and we sort of gamed out. Okay, what would happen if we sort of dedicated 1% of GDP to solving aging? And we tried to sort of see what happened, and there's a white paper on this if you're interested. And sort of the basic thing, our conclusion was that, it's like 50-50 that we can solve aging within 10 years. And that's 1% of GDP of the entire world. So granted, it's a lot of resources, but I mean, it could have been 100% of GDP or 1,000% of world GDP, and then we got this 50% chance in 10 years. But it turns out this is actually doable. So that was kind of mind-blowing to me. But right now, we're not doing this, so we need more investments. Yeah. Is there any final word you want to say here?
It's been a rapid fireside talk, more like a Spitfire talk. Haha. I have one favorite hobby horse comment. Whenever we speak about AI and we have all the concerns coming, what about the risk and the ethics, etc. My principal take, looking at the first principles, is that more intelligence is not the problem. The problem is stupidity. Human stupidity, right? I mean, we're flawed beings, we do our best, but our brains are not always running the way we want them to be, etc. Our public decision making does not always follow the best type of processes and get the best outcomes. We need more intelligence in this world, not less. So let's accelerate this AI development as much as we can, because it's much more of a solution than a problem. That's my heartfelt final word. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hannes Sjöblad, my friend.